he was probably one of the first players to just be like, he'd dribble through anyone from anywhere. He'd just take it on the wing, be in the centre, and he'd just go past people. And then obviously the composure to finish it off and score so many goals. And I think he's one of the first wingers that you got, like Cristiano Ronaldo at the moment, is that kind of player. But it was before that was a regular thing that you saw. The goal he scored against Spurs was players you'd think would just aim low, smash it. But he touches it down and loops it over multiple defenders and the goalkeeper and into the net. And I think that's just kind of shows the genius that he was.
What do you think of Gaza, for instance?
I think he's a very talented player, but he's not in the same class as me.
I think he's had a massive influence on the game. Of course, he was just a sublime goalkeeper. He had an effect on everybody who plays golf, who followed him with incredible interest and admiration.
Vern, this is extremely difficult. This is one of the toughest pitches on the entire place here. A lot tougher by having that second cut right behind the ball.
Well, here it comes. Oh my goodness.
First major grimace of the day comes at the second for Tiger, who has been using his clubs as a cane.
8-iron from 185.
He's hit it very high, and he's shaping it right to left, but this is just right of the hole.
How about stiff? What a shot. Wow, that's a beauty.
I'm glad I'm done. I'm done.
Well, I was freak. People would teach me a card game that I never played, and 2 days later I'd be better than them at a card game they were playing for 30 years. But in terms of freak of nature.
Stu Unger was a genius in the truest sense of the word, in that his IQ was of a genius level. He had a photographic memory, and as a result of this he was banned from playing blackjack in every casino in Las Vegas. He won over $1 million playing blackjack at those casinos. He started out playing a game called Gin Rummy. He took on the best players he could find for money, and one guy, Harry Stein, came to play him. He was known as one of the best players around, and Stu Unger beat him 86 games to 0. It was then that he came to Las Vegas and decided to turn his hand to poker. And the second tournament Stu Unger ever played at poker was the Poker World Championship in 1980. 73 players paid $10,000 to enter, and Stu Unger won. And then he came back in 1981, 75 players that time, and he won. So that was back-to-back world titles. He was the youngest ever main event champion. He won a little under $400,000 each time, which in 1980 was an incredible sum of money.
Bobby Fischer was one of those who brought most novelties and new ideas and brilliant playing. He also did very much for chess as a professional sport. He was one of the greatest.
Bobby Fischer's a strange man. People think that there's something wrong with the man.
Opening theory was of course important. It's still important today, but chess is so rich, and many grandmasters, also Bobby Fischer, he was completely okay with just starting to play chess, get out of the theory, play chess, and make the best moves on the board. Fischer is one player who brought very much new ideas into the game, and he was way ahead of his time when he was on top. And yes, of course a genius, and what often follows being a genius, there is ups and downs there also. He had many ups on the chessboard in his personal life, outside the chessboard. He had many downs. Chess is often a reflection of the society, art, culture, politics, and it was a very important part for the Soviet Union to have the world champion title, because that show that we are superior on this area. We did the art or the cultural thing. When they lost it, it was not a very nice experience for them, and that was the turning point of Bobby Fischer's mental health.
Tiempo. Spassky 1, Fischer 0.
He said e4, best by test, is his best opening moves. Bobby Fischer was playing 1 c4 against Spassky. Spassky had never lost against c4. He had a good score against c4. Still, Bobby Fischer played it, and he won the game.
Nothing healthy at all about wanting to be an elite athlete. It's full of madness. You have to want to win. I think that's the most important thing. And lots of people do that by being interested in crushing their opponent. And other people do it in a different way, and that different way is about crushing themselves. So the idea being that they're just trying to go as fast as they possibly can, and they're trying to get over the line as fast as they can, and it's all about them. It's not absolutely necessary to play in a way that means that you're trying to crush your opponent at all. I think it's probably easier to train people who are like that up to a point, and then they get too wrapped up with trying to do the other guy or do the other person that they forget what they're there to do. Most of us don't have the neurosis that makes us want to win the Olympics. So anybody that does is different, for sure. And that makes them susceptible to all sorts of things. I don't think it's necessarily the case, but I think it often can be. But it's a piece of a jigsaw. I mean, there's lots of other things about the whole enterprise that are likely to, not be very good for you, I think.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, he's very special, but he has had his ups and downs, and I would say he's an entertainer sort of thing.
Yeah.
He's probably one of the best players on the circuit because he's so good left and right-handed. Because he's ambidextrous and he can play with both hands, he rarely has to use the rest. He's a very good player, and I like to watch him because he's an entertainer. You know, and the crowd love him. You know, if they hear it's Ronnie O'Sullivan, the Rocket, Ronnie O'Sullivan, they go mad about him. And, you know, he gets annoyed with himself when he breaks down and he's sitting in a chair and the other person's playing and potting the balls. You look at his facial features and it changes and you think, oh God, the poor bloke. He goes through stages where he just doesn't care about snooker. He just goes through that stage and that's his mental block. He goes through a stage where he thinks, I can't be asked to do this. You know, I don't want to know. He gets involved with some of the referees and he gets involved with some of the hierarchy in snooker sort of thing. And he says, I don't want to know this. O'Sullivan will be remembered for his antics in and out of the game because he's such a character. You know, and he's going to be remembered for it for a long, long time. You know, and he really is very, very good. I mean, he can play snooker like there's nobody else in the world. You know, he puts the ball as if it's like he picks it up and puts it somewhere. You know, he's so good.
This is even more difficult. What an effort. What an effort this is. This could be one of the great escapes. Absolutely incredible. Oh, this is one way of getting on the red. Never thought about that one. Never thought about... 32. 要不要举牌好吃？
So, what do you think children might learn from a game like chess?
I think there's lots of different facets to it, but again, from my own experience, my daughter likes the game. So she likes the trying to catch the king, if you like. But if from an educational sort of standpoint, children, I think, learn the consequences of making certain moves. So if you make a wrong move, you have to live with that consequence. Yeah. So I know that in previous educational settings, have had chess clubs at lunchtime and particularly directed them at particular children that maybe have behavioural problems, because A, it takes them out of that environment where they're not succeeding, which is the playground, but B, along the way of learning the game of chess, you can talk to them about, well, if you make a move, you've got to live with that consequence. Oh, isn't that a little bit like life?
Have there been any chess-based initiatives in All Saints School, or has chess at least been discussed?
It has. Well, it has. It hasn't. It has in the pastoral care, as I said, already already uses chess as a vehicle to support children when they're offloading. But actually, by you sort of talking about this, and it reminds me that this is something that I could use in school, and it's on one of my list of to-dos, is about perhaps talking to a particular group of Year 5s currently who are finding it a bit of a challenge on the playground, whether or not they would like to start a chess club. Children love setting up clubs. They love setting up a nature club or a stickman club or an art club but actually chess club would be really easy to deliver. All you need is a few sets of chess, some children who are interested, and actually they like the feel of being in charge of a club, but actually all the things that we talked about previously. So in terms of sort of going forward, I think chess club at school at All Saints would be a great thing.
And what obstacles are there to bringing chess into schools, do you think?
The time that goes with it, because teachers spend so much time preparing for lessons, planning, marking. We do a lot of extracurricular activities in school, but increasingly the pressures of the education system are such that I find it increasingly hard to get my staff to run extracurricular clubs, and so chess is just one of those things, and to be honest, it tends to be more of those outdoor pursuits such as football, netball, rugby, cricket that take precedent, and the chess club is probably one of the last to be thought about. Yeah. However, in terms of sort of resources, chess clubs aren't inexpensive. We do have chess sets around the school for wet play. There is no reason why we couldn't get those chess sets and have a child-run club at lunchtime. We are after all, on our playground we have art areas, ball game areas, wildlife areas. There's no reason why we couldn't have chess area.
Can we do more, do you think, to make chess more prevalent in schools?
If it's something that can, if you're reminded that it is something that's beneficial, shouldn't really be a barrier to you putting it in place. I'm sure the PTA, for example, if I went to them and said I need £100 for some chess sets because of X, Y and Z, because it will have this benefit for the children, they'll support me. And then it's a case of just finding out how I can make it happen, and I'm pretty sure it could be a child-led activity. Okay, I could do light touch drop-ins with them and make sure they understood fully, but actually I'm pretty sure some of the older children would benefit from delivering the club, the younger children would benefit from accessing the club. Yeah, it could benefit all round.
Do you see chess maybe becoming part of the curriculum 10, 20 years from now?
I don't, because I don't think the people that make the decisions about education at the very top are that forward-thinking enough. getting really on my soapbox now, but I feel that it's still politically led, our education system, and that whilst politicians will go and look at education systems of other countries such as Russia, but they'll especially go and look at the Scandinavian sort of education, like from Finland and so on, which is sort of the top of the international education systems. They'll go and look at that, and then they'll discover something they don't like. So the fact that children don't go to school until they're 7, and then that politically wouldn't be popular, and then they'll abort. So if I'm honest, I can't see it happening.
Globally acclaimed television series Game of Thrones began its life as a series of books written by author George R.R. Martin. As those books grew in popularity, a TV series was commissioned, and soon millions of people were watching. The TV series picked up many awards and ended up amassing a record-breaking 47 Emmys. Around 2/3 of the way through the story, the TV series moved ahead of the current novels, which remain unfinished, and it attracted plenty of critical comment from fans who had been watching it for the better part of 10 years.
I feel like they ruined some of the characters and some of the story arcs, and it just felt very unclimactic overall.
It pretty much ignored all the characters it made. Yeah, it really like Tyrion was dumbed down.
Despite a petition to have the final season remade, attracting over 1 million signatures, this outcome seems unlikely. Instead, fans will have to console themselves with reports of prequels and sequels being in production, and you can certainly bet that whatever they thought of the Game of Thrones finale, those fans will be the first to tune in if one of those projects eventually arrives on our screens.